Hello guys. We are not going to wait for people to come in, or perhaps that can be done, but the purpose is not necessarily to measure the number of audiences that needs to, but this needs to be placed on the record. Ne? That today's talk is about African spirituality. What is it that we need to understand as black people? What is it that we need to do as black people, and how do we need to pay cognizance to a number of seasons that exist? That in fact in Africa we only have about 4 seasons that we need to be mindful of. So that will be just the purpose of the talk today. The purpose is mainly to awaken our spiritual consciousness in a lost world, that we as Africans, we are lost and we will never be found until we awaken our spirituality in order to understand ourselves fully and not to listen to other races in terms of dictating the calendar, for example, that today's date is so and so, and according to them it's a Father's Day, for example, it's Mother's Day. This is an imposed calendar. An imposed calendar that seems to suggest that we are followers. We are not charters of our own destiny, of our own lives. So I know that out of maybe 200 people that may have an opportunity to hear what I'm saying, maybe one or two will be the only ones that will hear and understand what I'm talking about. It is quite difficult for an African today to talk about being conscious about himself or herself in a world where we have been brainwashed, in a world where we have been made to believe that the only way for an African to understand himself is through the Western concept, is through the Western religion, is through the Western education. There is no way where an African can understand himself without necessarily having to use his own knowledge, his own indigenous systems that we have. For example, today I chose the specific date. Today is the 20th of June. When we look at the 20th of June, I am going to do some demonstrations showing a number of things so that you can see and understand. Certain things are going to make sense to you. Certain things are not going to make sense to you. But in the end, it's up to you whether you make it decisions about these things or not. Let me turn this to my... All right. For example, what you see here is called an Enoch's calendar. An Enoch's calendar, in fact, is a calendar that governs the entire universe. And when you look at it, it has... where's my pen? Okay, let me look for my pen. Aha. When you look at, if you see like this is an equator. Ne? When you look at the equator, now it tells you that in terms of this calendar, it has 364 days, as you can see it. And when you look at it, it has those winter, spring, summer, autumn. Ne? And when you look at them, they demonstrate to you as to each and every, because these are 3 months, these are 3 months, it's 3, 6, 9, 12 months. So it tells you that winter takes 30 days, midwinter 30 days, late winter 30 days. You move to spring, same as well, just like that. You move to summer as well. Now, we have what we call 4 seasons. 4 seasons that we have. We have the summer solstice. As you can see, the summer solstice, it means when it's summer in South Africa, it's winter in the northern hemisphere. We'll come to that one. So summer is always the opposite of winter solstice. So when I need to explain to you what is the meaning of the solstice, okay. Now we have the equinox. Ne? We have the spring equinox and the autumn equinox. The spring is also called the vernal equinox. When you look at also the two, that is the opposite. It means when it's autumn here, it's spring in the northern hemisphere. Ne? Now, let me explain to you, break down these two concepts. Equinox, it means that there is an equal, there is an equality in terms of the number, like a day is equal to the night. This is why it says an equinox. It means the day is equal. It means it has the same length as the night. Whereas when you look at the summer solstice on the other side, they really mark the longest and the shortest days of the year. The solstices, they mark, you know very well that in winter we have, I think is it longest night, ne? Shortest day. In summer we have the longest day, shortest, come again? Winter we have the shortest day, longest night. Summer we have the shortest night, longest day. I'm not sure if I'm trying to confuse, but actually the solstices actually means they mark the longest and the shortest days of the year. In essence, they signifies how life on earth in fact changes in connections with the sun and how our seasons shapes the world. Now, today as we speak, we are on the 20th of June. On the 20th of June, what does it mean to an African person? It means that this is the African Christmas. I think, let me, make this one bigger. Okay, I think this one is quite more clear than that one. Now I've explained to you that to say that this is the southern hemisphere, this is the northern hemisphere. Ne? If it's summer in the northern hemisphere, it's winter in the southern hemisphere. So we will never have the same season as per the northern hemisphere. If I need to explain to you as to which countries are in the northern hemisphere, northern hemisphere countries include Ireland, UK, America, France, Russia, China, India, Italy, and the other countries as well. This is going to be more clearer to you as to as far as you to understand as to. Now in the southern hemisphere, that's where we have us down here. Ne? For example, if you look at the Christmas, even the movies themselves, it signifies the northern pole where there is ice, snow. Father Christmas is wearing fake, clothes, red clothes, and people are celebrating with Christmas during that time. And they are mentioning Christmas as the day in which Jesus was born. We'll come to that one. But during that time, us here in South Africa, we are in the summer season. Whereas them, they are in the winter season when they celebrate Christmas. In terms of the universe, in terms of the spirituality, these guys celebrate Christmas at the right time. That is the time in which the snow is falling. Whereas here in the southern hemisphere, you guys will be sweating like hell, but at the same time, you are saying you are celebrating the Christmas. If it's during the day here, it's night there. Guys, we cannot share the same calendar with these people. We are in the southern hemisphere. It is highly, highly impossible. in a natural world for us to have similar dates, similar events, similar seasons, when the seasons themselves are already telling us that when it's winter now, like right now, we are in the winter, they are in their summer. Do you understand? We are now in our winter, they are in their summer. So in terms of African, calendar, we now have our Christmas. And our Christmas is not a 1 day, it's a 2 day. Christmas in this month, it means that I'm using the word Christmas because that's what we are used, that's what we are indoctrinated with. But actually, the 20 and the 21st of June essentially means to us where now we are celebrating the sun that is now going to prepare itself today. Tomorrow it will be moving away from the northern hemisphere, preparing itself to come back to the southern hemisphere. That is the whole purpose of the celebrations itself. It means that you need to understand that the celebrations that Africans calls it their own Christmas, essentially means that now the sun is preparing itself to move from the northern hemisphere to come to the southern hemisphere. That is the purpose of the celebrations. And when you look at now, let's delve much into the sun itself. What does light means to you? Lesedi, khanya, blessings. Everything that has light in it means good things. Do you understand that? Now, that's why we always need the light. That's why you always praise to have the light. That's why you always, afraid of the dark, so that you need light. And light flashes everything that is in the dark. Nothing that is in the dark is able to hide itself. So Africans, in terms of their calendar, then will celebrate this event where now they are saying that because the sun is preparing itself now to move from the northern hemisphere to come to the southern hemisphere, we are now need to prepare ourselves for the light, so that when the light comes, we are ready. And how do you do that? You do that with certain, rituals, festivals, practices, traditional practices that we do. Amongst them is that you need to cleanse yourselves. For example, you need to isolate yourself so that you can, connect with a higher purpose. You need to fast. You need to pray. You need to perform certain rituals. See, quite a number of things that you need to do. It means that you need to find yourself so that by the time that the sun comes to the southern hemisphere, you've already fasted for it. You've already prepared for it. You've ready now to welcome it and embrace, all the benefits that the light comes with. That is the season, that one in itself. Now, saying that now the sun is going to take its journey. I'm sure some of you will ask as to, but why do we have the sun every day, even in winter or not? That is not literally the understanding and the meaning or the significance of African spirituality. Africans did not have the kind of a calendar that we have today, that is January, February, March. They were using these seasons, and Africans only have about 4 seasons. For example, the African New Year is on the 23rd of September. You see that? It has nothing to do with to say that it's 5 days or 7 days after Christmas. The Africans, in terms of their calendar, they believe that the beginning of their year is the 23rd of September. You see, it's not even one. And you should ask yourself as to why did the Chinese are still using their own calendar, by the way, if you don't know. That's why you find that they celebrate their New Year and they'll declare that this is the year of the monkey. This is the year of the ape. This is the year of the rabbit. This is the year of the duck. Because they are using their own calendar, of which that's what they have originally used, despite the colonizations. So the fact that they are using their own calendar tells you that they are in sync with nature. They are in sync with spirituality. They are in sync with the mother nature. And Hence, we found that most of us as Africans, we are lost. We are always comes last in everything that is happening to us because we are adopting, or we have adopted and indoctrinated versions where we have the northern hemisphere dictating events to us here in the southern hemisphere. I'll call her back. Now you see that, yeah. So right now, today and tomorrow, it's the celebrations of an African Christmas. For example, how do I spend these two most important days of the season? I fast. I eat only vegetables. I pray, and also do cleansing as well. We will come to the cleansing as to how can you, what is it that you need to do. Most of this, does not really requires you. That's why it's very important. I'm a firm believer in helping yourself before you can go to anyone to help you, either to give you some traditional medicines or to pray for you. Most of us, we have dark hidden secrets that only us knows about them. But you want blessings, you want prayers, you want miracles without you lifting a thumb, without you ensuring that you help yourself. But if God, for example, can grant you all your wishes and desires with having all these dark secrets that you have, is it not really going to be a testament or a testimony or a confirmation to say that, but it means that I can continue with my dark kind of things that I'm doing where no one knows. Dark things that I'm referring to are those ones that if anyone finds out about them, you are in trouble. If you are married, for example, your partner finds out, it means that you are in trouble. If you are in the limelight and something that you are doing is contrary to what you seems to be doing, it means you are in trouble. Now, these are the things that when you say that you need to clean the closet, you need to clean the closet. That's what exactly that needs to be done. So when you talk about the seasons themselves, as is now, it is the time for celebrations of the African Christmas, the spirit itself. This is what actually that you need to do to say that while you prepare for a new seasons to come, what is it that you need to focus on? Giving away, or losing, giving or letting go, let go of things that no longer serves you. And how do you do that? Meditations, isolations, praying, taking the yoga, cleansing yourselves, praying, fasting, finding purpose in life that you guys need to follow. Now, we have again the second season that I need to explain to you. Now, we have what we call the summer solstice. That's another second season. I've already explained to you the winter solstice. The winter solstice being the new year, the celebrations of an African, the moving of the sun from the north to the south. This is a season itself that the Africans celebrate on an annual basis, each and every year. The second one that we'll have will be the summer solstice, which will happen on the 21st and on the 20th and the 21st of December, where now you are going to celebrate as well. We will come to that one. Then we have the autumn equinox. The autumn equinox happens every year on the 21st and the 20th, on the 20th and the 21st of March. This is normally where the Christians will celebrate Easter. When in actual fact, those guys are celebrating what they believe to be the right season for them, but not necessarily in terms of year. We will come to this because Easter has nothing to do with Jesus, by the way, as well. It's the religion that has tended to be in that way. Ne? And then, yes, and then we have the autumn equinox, and then we have the spring equinox, which happens on the 23rd of September, which will also coincide with the beginning of the year, African year, in terms of that calendar. I hope that I've explained. So in terms of African spirituality, there are four most important seasons that you need to be mindful of and that you need to be very careful of as to the events and everything that you do or happens during these periods. This one, the spring equinox happens 20 to 21st of September. The autumn equinox happens on the 20 to 21st of March. The summer solstice happens on the 20 to the 21st of December. The winter equinox happens on the 20 to the 21st of June. And on the 25th, that will be then the day in which the celebrations then takes place. So, yeah. I hope I have explained to that. So what is the meaning? What is the actual meaning of, these seasons when you decide, to start? You need, this information is freely available, guys, on the internet. There is a lot of information that is being hidden from us that we are not really into it. So yeah, on the winter solstice, for example, now it's winter now. Ne? If you stand outside at noon, 12 o'clock, look at your shadow. It will be the longest shadow ever, of which you will be able to see the cast for the entire year. And here's the reason why. Every day when the sun rises in the east and then sets in the west, it traces an arc across the sky. Ne? The height of that arc, in fact, what they say is it changes the Earth's yearly orbit, how the world moves around the sun. Ne? And as our planet orbit, by the way, we are told that the suns, they don't move. The planet does not move. We are told that the orbit moves, but actually the sun is static. It's only the world that orbits. So one pole is tilted towards the sun and the other one is tilted away. When you look at your geography, I think that's where geography you will be able to see that. During winter, in the northern hemisphere, the northern pole tilt away from the sun. So the height of the arc is low and your shadow looks long. So it means if you are in the northern pole. But if you are in the southern pole, when you look at the sun at noon, your shadow will be the longest. So during these days around the winter solstice, the sun is so low on the horizons that it appears to rise and set in the same place. That is why the word solstice can be translated, the sun stands still. Ne? In sun stand still. Ne? Now, this experience of the shortest and the longest night, and then you find this in many religions across the world, and can be also seen in festivals and holidays such as the Christmas that we've all been known with. Even the pagans themselves, which they have nothing to do with the birth of Jesus, they also did that. So feast, focusing upon gratitude and offering of gifts, have been celebrated for years. So this is the time in which now you need to acknowledge God's existence, your ancestors' existence. You do events like right now. There is an event already that is in Durban, the Festival of Soccer, which is the festival that is only done during this process where they celebrate the rebirth, the reborn of the sun moving away from the solstice. Now, the sun is on its way. And this is considered to be a season of chaos, the winter solstice, the one that we are in. It's seen as a season of chaos because it's cold. In Setswana, we believe that because most of the things you find that not being done much. Planting, it's not been done at the moment. It means you should have done all your preparations like an ant during summer. So it means you have prepared yourself for the hibernation. The hibernations being this winter season. So you prepare for winter during the summer. When you prepare, you store food, and then this is the time where now you have more time to sit down and give gratitude and to celebrate the harvest that we have done. At the same time, now the sun is going to prepare itself to move from the northern hemisphere to come to the southern hemisphere. It gives also that opportunity to give gratitudes and the celebrations. At the same time, you hibernate, you isolate, you meditate, you pray, you fast, like I said, these 2 important days helps you connect with Mother Nature. If you are in sync with the Mother Nature in terms of understanding when is the Mother Nature, moving, when is the Mother Nature manifesting itself. If you understand that today this is an African charisma, and you do it according to what the calendar says, not what to the Western calendar that we have today does. If you are able to do that, that's where you will be able to open up your third eye, the chakra, that you seems to understand as to how the seasons works. There's nothing wrong in you when it's December. You celebrate Christmas similarly to the Northern Pole. But what is required is a consciousness of your own identity as a black person to say that. But in terms of the African calendar, before it was dismantled, before it was removed from the history books, actually we need to celebrate our Christmas into winter. And it's as simple as that. Now, while it's a season of chaos, you find that most relationships are shaken up. Finances, there's life problems, a lot of things are happening. Remember, we've also talked about the moon effect. The full moon, once it's fully charged, what does it do? This is the same season as well. And it's a season that is associated with red, which is often associated with fire. So it means the season of fire. And literally, by the way, when you go outside right now, you find more fire happens in the Cape Town, squatter informal settlements. People are burning off the field. So hence this season is associated with red, and which is fire, and which brings both negative and positive energy. It requires you to understand that the seasons that you are in can emit a negative energy and a positive energy. So this is the time of greatest darkness that has encouraged humanity to gather amongst the loved ones and celebrate the rebirth and the return of the light. This is why these 2 important days requires you as an African to take cognizance of that at the same time when you are going to celebrate the rebirth and the return of the light, at the same time gather around the loved ones, pray about it, meditate, do some reflections about the life itself. This has been the turning point in the year. Their lives, they've harvested, they stored enough to sustain themselves during this time of darkness or season. So you at the same time, you need to prepare for the light that needs to come. How do you do that? Clean, for example, the space that you are in. Literally, clean the space that you are in so that you can welcome the light that comes with it. We have a tendency of only cleaning our cars and houses, but not understanding that you as a spiritual being, you as a human being, you are also required to undergo a certain cleansing process. I'm not sure if you get that. If you don't get that, this is something that is ingrained in the African spirituality. That in the same way as you understand that the house gets dirty, the dishes gets dirty, the car gets dirty, the blankets gets dirty, the clothes gets dirty, and you regularly do that. But how often have you done that with your physical being? Have you ever done that? You see, that's where the question comes in. So this is the season where that requires you also then to do that. So that by the time the science comes, it finds you in tune and aligned with no negative energy. The time that you've been in isolation, you've been in hibernation for, the time that you find yourself, the time that you've seeked the light, the time that now you've understand your purpose. Now you are drawing from this energy of the winter solstice so that it can recharges you, so that by the time when this comes, then it is so. Yeah? Now, in a spiritual sense, no matter your traditions, this winter solstice that we are in now, which is happening today and tomorrow, it requires you to embrace your inner self, requires you to reflect on who you are and where you like to go in life. It's a perfect time for introspection. It's a perfect time for intention setting. Meaning that you need now to decide to say that I intend to do so and so. Honor your stillness. It is very difficult to find yourself in a space where you are always surrounded by people, where you are always surrounded by fun, always surrounded by, a lot of things. When do you have time for yourself to reflect, set your intentions, and then introspect? When do you have time to understand your emotions, motivations, desires that are crucial in order to manifest the life that you wish to be? Everything that we do in this life, guys, requires you to manifest. You don't just wake up and say that I intend to be good and then you fold your hands. I intend to have 10 million and then you just fold your hands. It still requires you to work out. Map out your vision board, map up your strategy for the year to come, often in the form of resolutions. This can also help you in terms of that. Ne? That's the purpose of the winter solstice that we are coming for. Now, you guys, a lot has been, written what I'm talking about. If you can just Google what is the winter solstice, it will explain to you exactly and in great details as to what is it that really requires to. I will not talk about the summer solstice now. I will not talk about the spring equinox now because they are not yet here and we've passed. Perhaps this is the more reflections on what is it that needs to be done. Now that I've explained, I've laid the basis or the foundations for, let me turn on the Zoom. Okay. I have explained, I have explained to you that this is a season of reflection, it's a season of darkness, it's a season of red that brings you the negative and the positive energy, and that you need to reflect. It's a season where you need to clean not just your property, not just your clothes, not just your dishes, and also yourselves as well. Now, I know certain religions seems to dispel the myth about the coarse salt. And I know also some people have the phobia of going out to look for help because they have seen how those people that have been, given the opportunity to help others have taken advantage of them. I cannot blame you for failure or for your fear of going out to look for help because a lot of things has been happening. And like I said, I'm a firm believer that before you can go outside to look for help, what have you done? Do you just wake up and say that you got a headache and the doctor is the only one who can help you with it? And by the time you come back home, the very same things that causes the headache and the tension, they are still there. But you've been given a pill to take to ease the headache. At the same time, you are not dealing with the root cause of the headache itself, which could be emanate from you internally, for example. Now, we are here now to say before you can go outside, before you can find someone else that the person may be able to help you, what is it that you can do? Ne? What is it that you'll be able to do? Guys, I believe in reading. I believe in empowering myself with the knowledge. I may come here and boldly talk about these things, but all of this knowledge that I possess and that I practice on a daily basis is based on the teachings of the literature, teachings of people that I have done the research that I have found on. Something that is quite strange and surprising, for example, I'm talking about steaming now. Steaming, during the COVID times, white people managed to invent nose steaming. And I've seen most of you buying that steaming utensils because you didn't want to experience COVID or you've experienced COVID yourself. But have you ever thought, and most of you, I think, the significance of steaming the entire body? What does that do? Do you know what does that do? All right. Without moving into the traditional part, I just want to show you generally what does Google says about the benefits of steaming. Without before even moving into the African sphere, ne? I'm just googling what I'm doing this live so that we can benefit of steaming. Although it's going to take me to the steam. All right, let me turn and show you. Without necessarily going into the deeper, effect, the deeper insights as to what is this steaming. If I just type on Google the benefits of steaming, what does steaming do for your skin? It cleanses the skin. Remember that, like I said, you do not only clean your kitchen, your house, your car, your clothes, even yourself. You requires to do some intense cleaning. And I'm not talking about getting into the shower, bathing, or into a bathtub. And then that's not necessarily what does. So there is another way in which you can internally and externally be able to help yourselves. By steaming, you are opening up the short pores that could possibly not have really been opened up. The reason why you find yourself, some of you having these unexplained pimples, face, that kind, is because that the body is stuffed, the body is bloated, the body is unable to breathe. You are not helping it in any way. You are just making it worse. So how does it now help to excrete whatever that is bad that is inside you? It demonstrates that by giving you those pimples, by showing you that, you know what, we cannot hold this, anymore. We need to remove whatever that is inside. Unfortunately, it becomes in the form of pimples, for example. That's what. It promotes circulation. Stiffness. The minute that you steam, remember that now the body is stiff and it has never been exposed to any way of how do you promote the circulation itself. By steaming generally, then it gives you the muscles to relax. It enables the blood to circulate freely because the vessels now have been given, a kind of a therapy, a remedy, a healing that ensures that now the blood seems to circulate very well in as far as the stems are concerned. Thirdly, it releases the acne-causing bacteria and cells. You see what I'm talking about? Because of this, bacteria is unable to get out. Hence, it gives you those acne, those space, those pimples that will come out. But by steaming, you do not allow them to manifest themselves or to give you those bad, look in terms of now you'll be having some dark spots all over. By doing this, you are dealing with internally and externally and in great length or in great details. By steaming, you are going to release these bad, cells, these acne-causing bacteria that are already within your system. Now, it's hydrating as well. Guys, drinking water, it's something that should be done as a basic thing. But we know most of you don't even remember the last time in which you have drank water. So you are dehydrating the system. The system that requires you to always be hydrated. You, by not taking water, you are killing the system itself that is supposed to help you. So by steaming as well, remember you steam with water. In this instance, it enables you now so that the body can regain the water that it has lost at the same time. It helps your skin absorb skincare products. For some of you, you buy, some of these expensive products, and because you have not released the acne-causing bacteria, you have not cleansed the body itself, the blood is not circulating, so there's little excretion that is coming out of the bad bacteria. By applying your most expensive beauty products, the skin is unable to do that. So it means you are only applying it to the external, the skin itself, but it's not moving in to do what is supposed to be done. And you may not be aware of this. It promotes the collagen and the elastin. It's soothing. These are just a few examples of what actually steaming is. And for ages, let me turn on. For ages, you guys, you cannot deny the fact that either someone in your family or your grandparents, either they've steamed you or you have seen steaming being used in your home state. As an African person, you can never say this has never happened in front of your eyes. And for those that still have the old parents at home, when children are born, there's a certain stage also where they have to steam the child. Ladies, you know it very well. So this is something that we grew up with. This is something that it has always been there in terms of our culture and practices. But because now we are moving according to the so-called the times, you have abandoned, some of the most healing practices that you have been exposed to, that you have been doing, that you have seen them being used. Because now you don't believe, it's often associated with witchcraft. You don't believe in witchcraft. By the way, 80% of people who says they don't believe in witchcraft, they are the victims of the same. How do I know? How do I know? I'm from there as well. All right. Now, you guys, you don't believe that the African way of life that I'm always, insisting on and talking about. Do you know white people have done research even into this our way of life? If you guys don't believe, let me show you this. Let me show you this. I will put it here. This is a journal article. A journal article that is published by an academic from the University of Johannesburg. Yeah, let me turn it this way. Look at what it says. The title. Okay, you can't turn my phone live when I'm live. Steaming in the fringes, healing rituals in Johannesburg. Let's zoom in into the author. Lorena Nunes Carrasco. The second author is Malekias Zulu. Guys, this paper essentially deals with the African way of using steaming as a healing ritual. This is written in the International Journal, as you can see, International Journal of Complementary and Alternative Medicine. It's volume 12, issue number 2 of 2019. These guys went into these healing rituals are normally done, for example, in the field or in the comfort of your home. It's possible you can do. So these people, because they understand the significance of nature, the relevance of nature in providing healing properties, that's why they, prefer to do their steaming rituals in the field as opposed to home. And who are normally associated with this steaming? You see there it says steaming within the apostolic and Zionist traditional involves the producing the sacred through prayer and songs. Now, this demonstrates to you that For those that seems to see these two churches as not being in line with what Jesus preaches, as being the only persons that you need to pray to, the African apostolic churches and the ZCC of this world, they have decolonized religion. Remember that I've mentioned that the Witchcraft Suppression Act of 1957 was passed by the apartheid government in order to control African people from practicing their spirituality. Because Africans were able to look at you in the eyes and be able to tell you your problems. And to a white persons, they believe that the only persons who can diagnose you is a trained, for example, medical doctor, a trained psychologist. We have to go for evaluations in order for you to understand what is going on with you. Africans, since time immemorials, have been practicing spirituality. Africans were able to prescribe medications, traditional medications to those that are sick by just looking at them. And because they've realized that, the white men realized that this is going to have a far-reaching consequences, for us to indoctrinate these people, to control these people. The only way is to legislate and criminalizes them practicing their God-given and ancestral gift. And they passed the Witchcraft Suppressions Act. This act intends to criminalize and to punish anyone who is found to practice his God-given gift. And as a result of that, this is why you have found that they decided now to establish apostolic churches. They did not go to the normal Roman Catholics and the other churches. Look at what this act it says. The Witchcraft Suppressions Act 3 of 1957 is an act of parliament that prohibits various activities related to witchcraft, witch smelling, witch hunting. It is based on the Witchcraft Suppression of 1895 in the Cape Colony. And what did it do? It says it's a crime, made a crime for a person to claim that any human being had magical powers or was guilty of practicing witchcraft. And I'm not sure if I can find the definitions of it. The definitions of it is very broad. Let's see the definitions thereof. If it has, it's 1957. Any persons who input any other persons, it says any persons who input to any other persons the use of supernatural means in causing any disease or in injury or damage to any persons or thing, or who names or indicates any other person as a wizard, who employs, solicit a witch doctor, a witch finder, or any other persons to name or indicate any persons as a wizard, professes a knowledge of witchcraft or the use of charms, or who advises any persons how to bewitch, how to injure, damage, or any person or thing who supplies any persons with any protected means of witchcraft, on the advice of any witch doctor, witch finder, any persons or the grounds of any pretended knowledge of witchcraft, uses or causes to be put into operations any means or process which, in accordance with such advice or his own belief, is calculated to injure or to damage any person. Any person who for gain pretends for the exercise to use any kind of supernatural powers, witchcraft, sorcery, enchantment, or conjurations, or undertakes to tell fortunes, or pretends from his skills in or knowledge of any occult science to discover where or in any manner anything supposed to have been stolen or lost may be found. You see that, guys? You see the last paragraph itself. It says any person who pretends to exercise or any person who uses any kind of supernatural powers. You see there, witchcraft, sorcery, enchantment, or undertaking to tell fortunes. Fortune meaning that you are able to tell someone that your life is so and so. There's a problem in your family, so and so, will be guilty of an offense and shall be liable to a conviction. Now, it is on the basis of this act that Africans now begins to find a way of practicing umoya by establishing the apostolic churches. And what do they use? Those churches, they use fire, they use nature, they use air, moa, and what's the last one? There are 4: fire, earth. I will remember. These 4 principles are the ones that we found that. That's why someone without looking at anything, by just looking at you, will be able to tell you what's happening in your life. For example, for those that watch TV, that problem of Dlozilami, you see what that woman uses is called a kimowa. In literal sense, it's spirit. That's how she's able to connect. That's how she's able to deliver messages from the past and even to the future. This is what the Witchcraft Suppressions Act wanted to do. So they found a way by establishing these churches, and they were able to thrive and continue, complying with the law of the apartheid government at the time, pleasing them, but at the same time continue with their natural African way of life, practicing, this kind of thing. Now, someone perhaps may then decide to ask as to, but why are they still using the Bible? There is quite really a long debate in as far as that issue is concerned. But for each and everyone, they do not only rely on the Bible itself in order to do divination. They do not. I've met, this church, the Zimbabwean one, that normally they wear white and they are always, the cars are parked under shades, but the church is just on an open field. I have a discussions with one of the guy who attended that church. They don't use the Bible. Yeah. And then I ask, then what do you do? No, we only give, the prophecy, then we sing, we chant, and then certain rituals that we do. And then we do. So you see, that's what I'm saying. They had to find a way of, practicing their African spirituality without offending this Witchcraft Suppressions Act. Now, these 2 churches, they are at the forefront, the Apostolic and the Zionist churches. They are at the forefront of using steaming as a ritual, as a healing method, in as far as whether someone could be possessed, someone could be having some certain problems, and they do that. And amongst the things that some of them uses or rely is the coarse salt. Remember, I spoke about the madubula, juice fluid, methylated spirits, coarse salt, and a bit of chilies. They had quite a significant, if for example, we take the use of salt. Also, you cannot refute what I'm telling you right now to say is that you grew up knowing the importance of the coarse salt. Even if you may decide, it's a choice now that you will be making, but you grew up knowing that sometimes you will throw it on top of the roof when you hear something that is moving. Sometimes you will use it, even inside the house. Because Africans have found that the salt have a spiritual meaning, as a spiritual connections, to dispel the negative energy, to dispel the evil spirit. So if you decide to steam, for example, you don't want to go to anyone else, you can use the coarse salt. It's going to give you the Western benefits, as you say, but at the same time, it's going to loosen the tensions in your body. The things that you may not see with a naked eye. African spirituality, if you have to ask me what is African spirituality? African spirituality, I'm going just to explain to you in simple terms to say that it's a way of life that requires you to take charge of it, that you will be able to see, you will be able to experience, you will be able to feel, you will be able to know, you will be able to understand when your physical body transforms at the same time as your spiritual awareness also becomes. That's simple as that. It is not based off so and so, so now I'm preaching using that person now to come. It's not about someone's belief in terms of, it's about you believing in yourself. And having believed in yourself, now open up the spiritual path, the spiritual journey, the spiritual ears. That's why they are saying that we have 2 ears, the physical one and the spiritual one. We've got 2 eyes, the physical ones and the spiritual eyes. So there are certain things that no one will be able to tell you, but only you yourself, you will see them. Only you yourself, you will hear them. Either when you are sleeping or even when you are awake. That's why you have visions. That's why you have dreams. And most of you do have dreams. And some of them, you do remember them vividly so. And in a spirituality world, they say that as soon as you remember something because you are asleep, but when you wake up, you still remember. That is a message. It is no longer a dream. So we have suppressed our spirituality so much that whenever something happens to you, whenever a message is delivered to you directly, either sleeping or otherwise, the first thing that comes, but no, in our church, no, we don't do that. You will continue to go to church, but dead spiritually, because you are failing to listen to your inner self. Something is telling you that you need to wake up. Something is telling you that you need to take guard. Letswalo, the conscience itself. It's happy. Sorry. The load, I'm about to be load shedded. Okay. No, I think it will be available. I'm not playing music because I know music is going to cut it. Now, this is why you find people are going to church day and night. But honestly, when they sit down and really reflect to say that I've been going to church, I've been praying, I've been doing everything by the book, but nothing seems to be working out. At the same time, you are refusing to let out your spirit, be your guide. You are refusing to trust your conscience, your God. If something happens to you and your conscience tells you, or something, little Laharo says something to you, never doubt it. Because that is the first warning sign. The first warning sign is not going to come from a hooter. It's not going to come from someone saying you. It's going to come from within. So we have stuffed ourselves so much that whenever that your spirit tries to come out, your spirit comes to talk to you, you block it by using religion. There's nothing wrong with you following religion if you want to. But there's everything wrong in blocking your own path, your own destiny, by not listening to yourself. But you want to listen to someone else. You want to listen to the pastor. You want to listen to the prophet. You want to listen to the sangoma. You want to listen to... But there's never at any time where you've just listened to yourself. Because sometimes you go there already having a doubt or a manifestations or an idea as to... I'm not going to tell them what my problem is, but I think I know because I have felt it. Guys, number one, no one is going to love you if you don't love yourself. No one is going to heal you if you don't heal yourself. No one is going to be with you unless you know how to be with yourselves. Now, in the midst of you not understanding yourself and not knowing yourself, you still expect to have a soul partner. You still expect to find someone out there who ticked all the boxes that you want. And you still expect that person to be in your life when you don't even understand how to love yourself. How to love yourself is a very deep rooted understanding from where I'm sitting. I'm telling you these things because I've been through that journey and I'm through that journey. If you see me eating vegetables, some of you are laughing at me. Where's the meat? Where's the meat? And if you can just Google now, I've posted something today. Tepi says, I walked out of a psychologist session in realizing that I have to do inside work and reflect and be led by my spirit. You see, that's exactly. If you decide that you are perhaps, for example, in a depressive relationship, the only way is to go for counseling. But you've already seen the signs that this other person is not there. But you are still convincing yourselves that if I go for therapy, I'll be better. You know, I like the prayer that they call the serenity. Is it the serenity prayer? Quite straightforward and bold. God, give me the power to change things that I have total control of and the courage to accept things that I cannot change. A psychologist is not going to help you to change the unchangeables. He or he is only going to help you to manage the situation itself. But the terms of you healing, the problem is you've entrusted the psychologist with the help. And when now you've written yourself off that I'm not going to leave this person, no matter what. This is my soulmate. Whereas you see that is your death mate, but you are not accepting. So counseling is not going to help you. You see, that's what I'm saying. If you don't love yourself, no one can love you. A counseling is a typical example. Tepi here is saying the very same thing to say that she went there for help. But actually, she realizes that, in fact, she needs to work on herself. How do you work on yourself? There are quite a variety of things that you need to do. I will, if time allows, I will. But let's talk about the steaming itself. I've given you the Western benefits of steaming, by the way. The benefits of steaming in the Western world. But at the same time, you are an African being. And you being an African being, you guys know it very well that some of you have been going on for medical tests, but no Western medical tests are picking up. There's something wrong with you. But when you can see, you can feel, or there's something wrong with you. The way in which our African systems have evolved is such a way that you can be told you have cancer when you don't necessarily have cancer. You can tell you have depression when you don't have depression. You have anxiety when you don't have. In other words, they are going to prescribe Western medications to deal with that when actually that is not the root cause. The root cause of the depression is not what you've realized it to be, but it internally. You are a spiritual being. You have blocked your spiritual path. Your spirit wants to work. Your spirit wants to show you. Your spirit wants to help you prosper. But because you are ignoring it, you are bypassing it, you are disrespecting it. That's why it causes you, for example, bloating. That's why it causes you heavy depressions. That's why it causes you anxiety. There are a number of people that have been healed. You know, spirituality is about healing. It's not about managing a disease. Spirituality is about going to the root cause of the problem and solving it out. So when I talk about healing, that's the basis of it. Spirituality has enabled people that have endless headaches, that you only need to wear a white duke. When you sleep, just wear, as a woman, wear a white duke. Pray for it and then you sleep. And the person has come up to say that, you know what, ever since I do this, I'm feeling better. But we are so much afraid of the transformation as a person that you will rather let your physical body be dragged to church when actually you are failing on yourself. Simple as that. Psychologists are mostly robots, and you are talking to a textbook and medical brands that they are supposed to push. Yeah, I gave a talk when I talk about balancing life between spirituality and the African herbs, where I made an example about, for example, lawyers. That you consult a lawyer who comes and says that based on the facts themselves here, you have a winnable case. And surprisingly, when the case goes to court, you lose a case, and then you ask yourself, but how? When actually, for example, for those that have this kind of, spiritual calling, in essence, is the ancestors that are trying to knock on your conscience to say that, wake up, we are going to take everything that you love if you don't listen to us. Now, the same person who has a spiritual calling is ignoring it, is not telling anyone, suffers from depression. A social worker, a psychologist consult with that person. That's what's going to happen to what Sepi is saying. They are going to use their Western standards to determine as to what is the cause of you without actually finding out, because she doesn't know or he doesn't know that you have a spiritual calling. But actually, someone who has a spiritual, that kind of, that's why when I consult, let me make an example. When someone is referred to me to assist and I consult with them, somehow I ask them, what is your belief system? I believe in Jesus. I believe in integrations of Jesus and the God and the ancestors. Because most of them, you find that the problem is not actually the legal issue. It has to do with the African system itself, that there's something that you are not doing right. So we need to stop, going to professionals thinking that they have solutions for us when you know. The fact that they are not telling you doesn't mean that they are stupid. It is not for them. It is not their platform for them to do that. But the minute that you know and you still go out and look for help and you don't get it, whom are you going to blame? Only yourself. Ne? Now, if you are afraid of going to meet traditional healers, I know there's a lot of stories about them sleeping with women. Some of them now you are working for them. You only come to them, you bring money, all of that stuff. How do you find yourself? And how do you sort out yourself? How do you sort out your life? Guys, if you are a woman and you suffer from depressions, you suffer from headaches, and you've been taking medications that are not working, for a change, just buy a white duke, pray for it, and then whenever you sleep and whenever you are in the house, wear that duke. Your parents, those that have lost their parents, or the grandparents, and they have, for example, their duke or a jacket or anything, when you feel down, when you feel like you don't know what is wrong with you, take that grandparents' apparel and wear it. You see, that's what I'm going to tell you, that's what spirituality does. You are going to feel certain things without anyone's telling you and ask yourself as to why. That's the time you start to realize that, you know what, my grandparents or my parents may be dead, but the spirit is still alive and the spirit is still with us. And that's exactly what religion has tried to stop us from honestly doing. A typical example is religion will tell you that we don't use the car. We don't allow the cars in this thing. But you will have 90% of the church on diabetic medications, on high blood, on depression, antidepressants. And you'll confidently even go to the tap or the church tap, open that tap and drink those tablets. But when we're referring the job before because we need to drink the pills muselo. But all the tablets, everything that has been done, it's a process. They are processed because they've taken from a plant. I had a discussion with Tseole when we discussed the issue of the primitive, where we are saying that, you know what they do? They take an African potato, for example. They see that it's immune booster. They see that it can help with cancer, for example. They see that it can help with depression. Now, what they do is now, they make sure that they suck the succulents out of this African potato, and even to make a... I know I represented someone who was fired from a medical aid industry. There is a term that they use, hybrid or a duplicate or a clone. So they'll go and clone, for example, Panado. you will still find another product called another name, but they'll tell that it does the same thing as a Panado. So that's why you'll keep on having endless headaches when actually, in fact, that you are not being healed from anything. A medical system genetically, yes, synthetic, yes, synthetics. Thanks, Epi. And genetically modified as well. That they are going to create another medications out of nowhere using other things that really did not. So, whereas in actual fact, when you just go and take Potsetla, just that I forget the English name, that's a herbal. You can just chew it or just, warm water and then you drink, then the headaches goes. So the religion is telling you that it is wrong to heal your headache using Potsetla, something that if you know it, you'll be able to go and get it from the field. Religion says it is wrong. And you as an African, you see nothing wrong with that. Religion is telling you that it's only right for you to go and get your medications at a pharmacy. At the same time, when the Western doctors do some tests and find that they cannot solve your diabetic problem, they say the solution is to cut it. I'm not going to stop this, but Professor Dan Kwadi, who is the Vice Chancellor of Vaal University of Technology, a former VC from the Northwest University, if you go to his page, there is a portion there somewhere there where he talks about how he suffered from a chronic diabetic foot and him having access to the most expensive specialist and the medical aids. They told him that there's no cure. There's no cure, Professor Kwadi, for this. The only solution for it not to grow so that it affects the entire system is to cut the leg. Professor Kwadi still has his 2 legs at the moment. He's healed. You know what? Healed. He says that it is only that time where he says that let me go home and consult and then talk to my family. It is only then when he started to investigate the alternative. You see now how they even downgraded our medications. I have a serious issue where now Western medications are always higher than traditional medicines are always at a lower, bar. Whereas in actual fact, it needs to be like this because these Western medications receives their products from these African herbs. But now the system now has tipped to be like this. We now value much more these processed medications than our own African traditional medicines, which in actual fact, this is the founding knowledge. This is the founding science. African science came before this modern science that we have today. So he had to go and investigate, and he has found some herbs that he used to bath, to steam his legs, and to treat. And he also uses the Chinese. You see the Chinese, those guys are herbalists. He also uses the Chinese herbs as well. And he's healed. It's not like he's going to be on those African medicines forever. No. African medicines heals what is the problem and moved on. Whereas in actual fact, today we still have people that are on prescriptions, on a monthly prescriptions. I have to go and get my high blood pressure medications. I have to go my subscriptions of chronic medications. The other issue that I want to talk about is now the reason why these guys steam in the field is because God has given us the rivers, natural waters. Guys, there is healing in the natural waters. The waters that are not processed, the waters that are only purified by water and the sand and the soil. You see, that's why sometimes you see that I'm mad whenever that I find time, I call the field church. Because I understand there is healing out there. Now, you guys, you only go there to take photos and then dance and then with that, but you honestly do not have a slightest clue as to the healing effects of natural waters. Now, they use as a steaming ingredient part of that water. And they believe that by merely just taking a drop, for example, of these natural waters, and even the drop of this water the cup into the steaming bucket or whatever, it's going to do its own effect. It's not like they necessarily have to use the entire thing. For example, I sell spring water, and I tell those people that you can decide if you can afford to drink. I've been only been drinking spring water. I don't drink tap water or purified water. I only drink this water. It's been for some time now. Yes, I also sell Metiacidi Vatsepi. And you are saying modern medicine has a big voice, a lot of marketing, a lot of documentations, therefore informs curriculum. We need more traditional medicines ambassadors. Oh yes, it's quite true, Tepi. It is quite true. That's why we are using now the platform, because our ancestors have also realized that because of our children now have occupied the social platforms. So these are the platforms that we need to reach out to them. And definitely, without a doubt, I am doing that. Whether they are telling me that I'm going to hell, there's no hell. You create your own hell. There's no heaven. You create your own heaven. So I'm fine where I am. I'm comfortable with my way of life. And if I don't see God at the ends of it, so be it. But all I know is I have done my level best. Setla is a star flower, has antibiotic elements, Google says. Is it the name star flower? Because you call it Setla. Ne? Now, that's why and also by just being in the field, you see the environment itself, guys. The environment itself creates a mood, welcomes the energy or dispels the bad energy. Felt also in the same ways, if you look at even in the Bible itself, it talks about the times when Botafita were being looked at by, is it the Goliath of this world. They have to stay in the caves. Moses went to the mountain. It's in the Bible, but the problem is we listen to people that are controlling. You are refusing to let your spirituality dictate as to what is it that is good. I've read a post about someone who says that he has visions. He has seen that he needs to wear some beads, that he needs to do certain things, and the church that he's in is telling him that we don't believe in those things. And I told him publicly, so to say, that if you don't listen to your inner conscience, if you don't listen to your spirituality, that same church that you are saying you are going to, they will end up blocking your path. And your ancestors will let that happen to you, because you seems to be in denial of the wave that comes, that they are trying to show you the light. There is everything beyond what you are seeing in this world. The problem is we believe in using our natural eyes and ears. We failed to pray and to open up our third eye, our spiritual eye and the ears. That's why we suffer so much in as far as our life is concerned. So they steam using an ingredient of water. They steam as well using those that they know, rocks, and not just rocks. They choose that the mountain rocks or the river rocks. They know the significance of those things, and they use, amongst the others, like I've said, coarse salt, jizz fluid, methylated spirits, a bit of chilies, because they understand that in addition to healing, or in fact to helping you have a nice skin, like I do, it also helps to dispel the negative energy that the body could be possessed with, that you are not aware of. So when I say that you can do this at the comfort of your home, you already know someone has done the steaming while you are growing up. Someone has done that, and you've seen people doing it. So if you don't believe other people can help you, at least let your own conscience helps you heal yourself before you can go outside to the outside world. I've shown you the article. You can go and read it. It's more detailed. It explains as to what even these people are saying and the significance of that. You complain of always being fatigued. You complain always, having depressions and stuff. You don't know what is the problem. And you are not really listening to yourself in as far as these are concerned. Tepi, this is why I love natural groundwater. Safely and freely working, all medicinal plants are available. Free range, meat, organic vegetables, ancestral environments, homelands are beautiful. I have an ambition of building a rural forest and forest food to attract rain, to humidify air, to attract other living insects and the rest of the ecosystem, to have more healing plants at all. Tepi, that's what we call, in fact, spirituality. When you live in conformity and in committee with other, organisms that God has created for us, and using them to the maximals of your abilities. Guys, there's a post that I've posted about in Australia where apparently the cost of food is going up. So they charge, if they give you a green salad, for example, a leaf, they charge you a leaf of lettuce, $1. It's there. If you go into my post now, you'll see it there. This signifies to you to say that, and there's also the one that I've also shared where Dave says that, guys, learn to garden, learn to plant your own food. A time comes where the money that we have in the bank account is going to be a useless one because the whole entire system is going to be disrupted. How are you going to learn that? Learn right now how to cultivate, how to produce your own food. Because the world, the weather in which we are going, we are not going to survive in the near future. So learn right now to isolate yourself, how to help yourself, how to be in line. That's what spirituality actually requires. To you to be independent from any other thing, either material or thought, so that you can avoid being controlled, so that you can avoid being indoctrinated by the whatever the mechanism that exists in this world. Because that's what exactly religion is doing to most of you. It's controlling you. When someone sees a problem that exists, what they do, they rush to court, to church, while avoiding the actual problem itself and thinking that by going to church to report it at church is actually going to solve itself. When you are failing to use the common sense, religion requires the common sense, so that the common understanding that there is God, there is spirits, and their ancestors. They are not in competition. They are not fighting one another. They are working in synergy with one another. You just have to understand that you don't pray to ancestors. We venerate them. We pay libations to them. We pray to God. There's only one God. And according to African spirituality, God has always been there. Why then in vocabulary in Setswana there's Mudimu and Badimu? Why? Because they knew that there's only one God. And then we have Badimu, of which is those that we share their blood, their genes with. And you cannot, using the common sense, wants to tell me that today I'm living, I says that I denounce my ancestors. I don't believe in those people. But yet I believe in the Abraham and the Isaac and the Johannes and the Paul of this world. Does it make sense? If it common sense in J. So when I pray, it is not the God of my grandparents, the God of the Isaac and Isaac. Where are those people today? And we don't even know whether they have tombstones or not. So the issue of the Bible, I don't want to talk about it here now. But that's all that I'm saying. Now, if you can be able to, like I say, 20 and the 21 are the most important days where you need to fast. Fast including sex as well. Try to connect with yourself. Try to find time for yourself. They are saying even 10 minutes is enough just to sit still and try to reflect on your life without any distractions of any form. Whenever you are alone or you claim to be alone, you are with your phone, unfortunately. So you are not alone. There's no time to reflect. So they are saying, try to find yourself, try to do that. So if you do, like I say, in cleaning of the clothes, you also need to clean yourself as well. You can do that in the comfort of your home. You can go and buy salt, it's there. You can go and buy juice fruit, you can go and methylated spirits. You'll decide which one you use. But those have been known historically in African homes to dispel the evil spirits, the negative spirits, in one way or the other, so that it can open up your spiritual way. I will end it here. Please, guys, just know that it's African Christmas and I'm celebrating it. I'm celebrating it by sharing this knowledge. I'm not saying you must listen to me. I'm not saying everything that I'm saying you need to believe it. But at least I have opened up a spark in you. I have enabled you so that you can understand yourself as an African. That we cannot have the same season, the same event, the same date, celebrating Easter, the entire world celebrating Easter on the same day. It's highly impossible. When it's night here, it's daylight in the northern hemisphere. When it's winter there, it's summer here. Right now, it's summer here in the southern hemisphere. It's winter in the northern hemisphere. So there are seasons that are applicable to each and every, time frame. So get that into your common sense to say that if it's summer there, it means there are certain things that you need to do in summer. That's that you need to do in winter. An African calendar, the Inox calendar that I've shown you, demonstrates to you exactly that. Simple as that. It's a quite a pure basic standard. That matter, you want to join? That it's as simple as that. We will talk about the Easter bunnies the other time. But all I wanted for you to say is that common sense in J, nature dictates. Nature dictates. Simple as that. Africans were living in community with nature. They reflect their views. That's why they know when the moon set, they know exactly what rituals needs to be done. They use the moon as a calendar, to know exactly when it's in the middle here, what is the significance of that. When the moon is fully charged, that's why I repeat it again, most of the women are on their menstrual cycle, or their menstrual cycle is about to begin, or it's about to end, just when the moon is fully charged. That's what Africans understand. That's what Africans know. That's what Africans have been living by. And they know it very well that you are not supposed to do certain things when you are in that menstrual cycle as women. But technology that they trust so much today is able to disrupt that menstrual cycle. And you guys sleeping with ladies that have done that, there is quite a lot of repercussions. You won't know because they have not told you. But once you become spiritually enlightened, you will start to appreciate and understand that in as much as we are indoctrinated, it takes two to tango. It takes two. You need to be light your wisdom, light your consciousness, so that you must begin to understand. We cannot celebrate Christmas. I repeat, you cannot celebrate Christmas the same time as the northern hemisphere. It's not winter here; it's summer. So the meaning of Christmas in the southern hemisphere is when we celebrate the rebirth of the sun, the reborn of the sun, when it's moving from the northern hemisphere. Remember that they don't have too much sun there because of the winter. So the sun is preparing to come. So tomorrow is the day in which the sun bids farewell now to the northern hemisphere. As Africans, we need now to interrogate ourselves, to introspect, cleanse yourself, not just your car, not just your house, even yourself. How can you do that? By steaming. I have explained to you the benefits of steaming. I have shown you the visuals, the internet, as to what does it says about how can you clean yourself in the comfort of your home. By doing that, that's how you start to connect with nature. That's how you start to connect with yourselves. That's how you start to understand how your mind operates, how your conscience operates. What is it that you need to do? It's as simple as that. There's nothing evil about finding yourself. If anyone is telling you that the use of the coarse salt and all of those things in the comfort of your home, in the same way as you can sleep with someone today and tomorrow you go to church, they don't know. Again, it's only you that knows. So start to fix yourself and still go to the church and see. Some of you will end up hating the very same institutions that you've been believing to be the actual light, the actual restorations of hope in as far as your life is concerned. It's as simple as that. Spirituality is going to teach you a lot of things about yourself, a lot of things about your surroundings. When people comes in your life, you are going to understand. When people move away from your life, you are going to understand. And this helps you. And by doing that, you will not even have the opportunity to go for counseling, because the spirit is guiding you. The spirit is telling you who stays, who goes in your relationships. You are crying about the relationships that are not really spiritually connected. You guys are fighting against each other, because spiritually that's not the kind of person that you need to be with. But you don't know, but you don't understand. When you see the physical, features of these persons, and you believe that you can build a family with this person. But actually, when your spirit has already told you, this is not the right persons for you. But because you don't understand, you don't want to open up your third eye. You believe a third eye, it has to do with sangomas and prophets or people that are gifted, when it actually is not. It only requires you to be conscious of your inner self. And how do you express yourselves? How do you live in community with nature? That's why you find some people goes to the rivers to go and party and the dams, they never come back, because they don't understand how they relate with nature. Some of you relate to the spirits of the waters. You relate to the spirits of the fell, the spirits of fire. But because you have no understanding, you have no deeper knowledge of your relations to nature, you will end up being at odds with it all the time. And you are in a bad mood, or when we are now with a negative energy, a negative spirit, you cannot attract anything good. You are going to attract everything bad. And you'll ask yourself, but why am I always attracting bad things in my life? Because you are not good yourself. You have not found yourselves to be in line of the energy. Your body is an electric, magnetic. So that's why you are saying that it charges using the sun. It charges using the moon. It's as simple as that. When the sun is up, your body is charging. When the moon is full, it means your body is charging. How it charges you, your energy, is dependent on whether it's a good one or it's a bad one. If the full moon finds yourself being in a bad world, in a negative world, it's going to charge that negative world. So you'll go astray. But when you are in the right process of you being charged to be in a good spirit, when that comes, because you understand anything bad that comes to destroy the good, you'll be able to know and pick it up. It's as simple as that. But we are not really mindful of how the universe operates. Africans, as the first race in this, as the first people in this world, guys, that's why they had to dismantle us spiritually. That's why they had to deal everything, bend everything. As simple as that. I was reading Solomon Tegisho Plaki's book, one of the books that they have written. Solomon Tegisho Plaki, one of the peasants who it was unknown during his times, 1950s, decides to write and translate English books into Setswana. Because he realizes that the Robert Moffats of this world, the Livingstones, are translating Bible into our language and they are butchering it. And Antelitzeleng decided that I'm also going to play my part. So the book that I've read, I will look for it. I did share it on Facebook. And I even took a picture of that. Where when his mother was still pregnant with him, a prophet told him that this one is going to be the most important person to his people. I will find that and then repost it here. Now, you people today, the minute you hear someone, a stranger to you, who says that I have news for you, you run away. Little do you know that you are running away from the light, or you are blocking the light, because this person is not from your church. This person is not the pastor from your church who says that there's a green pepper in your fridge. It's half. Your fridge is pink and your fridge is blue. This person is trying to give you the light. But because you are not spiritually aligned, you are going to refuse the help that you are praying day and night, that God, please help me. I'm suffering, I'm in trouble. God uses various methods, to deliver messages to you guys. It may be air, it may be water, it may be fire, it may be earth. I'm not sure the fourth, I forgot the fourth one. How all of these things, comes to you. It may be air in the sense of the spirit, that someone becomes a vessel of the spirit to come and give you the message. They don't know you, but they are able to tell you that you need to fix your life. This is 1, 2, 3. That's the spirit at its work, at its best. And you are not being charged for it. But because it's not coming from the religion imposed, persons, mindsets, you are dispelling it. You will continue to suffer because of that. Because of you are refusing the light that you are saying you are praying for. It may be the form of water that some of you only requires you. I'm always envy people who goes to the natural waters and take pictures and videos and says, damn, if only they knew they could hit 2 birds with 1 stone. That even if you know that you are going to Mauritius for a holiday, you know that at least 7 days before you go to that trip, knowing that you are going to the natural waters, you need to fast, you need to pray, you need to report to them to say that I am going to the natural waters. Let there be healing. Let there be light. Let there be protections when I entered those waters. You see, something as simple as that. You stop eating certain foods. You refrain from doing certain acts as a person married or unmarried, and praying and just fasting. Fasting for the Mauritius trip. And when you get there, without anything, if you just dunk yourself once or twice or whatever, you will come back a different person. But you won't know because you believe your healing is on someone else's hands, not in your own hands. If you don't believe me, try it. Decides now to say that you want to go to the waterfalls or somewhere, fast for 7 days, and do the right thing, pray, and then go get into that waters and go back home. Because that's what spirituality is trying to tell us. You can do this yourselves. There are certain things that you can put yourself online, but you are not really listening to it. Monima Haboy, thanks, Prof, for the enlightening wisdom. And it's true that Christian spirituality has turned us away from our African way of life and spirituality. Indeed, they've made everything that is African bad. And the only way to heaven is through their own laws. But actually, they are not telling you that when you are from sleeping with people, when we are from the funeral, don't come to church because you are not pure. You are not in your purest form. When you are in your menstrual cycles, do not come near to the temple of God because it is a time where you require to cleanse yourselves, to heal yourself before you come. They allow everyone to come because Mark is the house of the Lord. Whereas in African spirituality, those things matters. You pay attention to them. You deal with them. You do not just sleep with people tomorrow, then you decide to go to church and expect to receive a healing and expect to participate in church activities. You can still go, but some of them, they sleep with, people that are at the forefront, that now the person who's going to pray for you has been sleeping with the church choir. Even maybe that morning they've already done that. Because when you don't know, you will just go and do. So there is a lot of things that religion is not really teaching you. Self-help, self-education, self-awareness, self-consciousness as a person. Before you can come to us, what have you done? That's where exactly that we lack. Guys, thank you very much. May you enjoy the charismath, the rebirth of the sun. May you take this opportunity to reflect on your way of life. May you take this opportunity to cleanse yourself, not just your clothes, not just your kitchen, your dishes, your house, your car. May you also pay attention to your own spiritual body. May you make sure that you steam, Don't let people telling you that Utasha, you let what. Guys, they've taken you away from your own self-independence, your self-determination. Until such time that you take action, until such time that you decide that right now that I think I'm fixing my own life. And fixing it means that I need to be aware of nature. You need to be aware. When the moon is full, it charges your body as an electricity. So be mindful during those times where you overreact, you become emotional, you fight with people, or people wants to fight you and you wants to fight. Just says, this is not about me. I understand the period that we are in. This could be happening. Now you see, now it helps you to reflect and react in a more, in a more proactive way, or socialist way, or in a more understanding way. That certain things, when people do them to you, it is not because they hate you or they want to fight you. It's because that the fact that they've been fully charged, they've charged the negative energy that now is raging across everything that exists. Most people tend to ask myself as to why, when I'm in the queues or when people are said tell me to wait, I wait, and then I talk and I said, but these people are fighting you, or they are doing, why are you not fighting them? It's because they don't understand. They don't understand that we are all vessels here. We are all carrying the energy. So you need to be yourself at all times, no matter the situations, because you will be understanding better than them. So you will be helping them without them even knowing, by the way in which you react. Because that's what spirituality is. It teaches us Ubuntu. Motho ke motho ka batho ba bang. Do not just keep on attacking people. Do not live in conformity with people. That's why people will find my car having all kinds of, leswe. I don't throw stuff out of the window. No, I respect nature that much. And I'm not saying I'm going to change the world, but I am not going to contribute to the filthiness of the world by also throwing what is not biodegradable. If I know I throw the bananas and the fruit stuff, those are biodegradable. They enriches the environment. But the plastics and the other things, and that's where the love comes in. You don't love yourself if you contaminate the environment. Tomorrow you'll be complaining that the environment is not clean. But you are not doing anything within your own space to clean that. So that's how it is, guys. Thank you very much. Keep well. Enjoy your Christmas today and tomorrow. The 25th, it's the official day in which now the Christmas day. Bye-bye.